Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So today we are going to do our review on What Happened to Dorothy Bell.
So, non-spoiler synopsis of the film, Ozzie Gray video documents her investigation into the traumatic events from her early childhood, which involved her late grandmother, Dorothy Bell.
So we're going to give you some positives, some negatives, and then we're going to give you our overall thoughts.
We are very excited about this, guys. So remember, we're going to give you our positives and negatives, then we're going to spoil it for you. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you're checking it out. But for now, let's get to the positives.
So some of our positives, it's nice to see a little Lisa Wilcox cameo. She is like the therapist I'm not going to spoil too much in this part of it, but
Right.
yeah, you do get to see Lisa Wilcox, which is pretty awesome.
Always great to see Lisa Wilcox in horror. This movie is extremely tense and suspenseful.
Mm-hmm.
This movie knows how to grind your gears and freak you out a little bit.
Yeah, it has some really great jump scares, actually. There's a couple that got me, and I didn't really see coming necessarily, so...
And you guys know how I feel about jump scares. Great visual effects. The practical stuff they did, even the visual stuff they did, like the CGI type stuff, it was really, really good. So for found footage, it's usually hit or miss. And they had a pretty good hit on this one with their VFX.
The protagonist is likable. You feel for her. You want her to...
You're rooting for Ozzie.
Yeah, you really want her to, figure out what's going on.
Right. And we got a mention of Ann Arbor, Michigan in there, baby.
We did, yeah.
I was excited to see some Michigan love in there.
So it's a found footage, like we said, and it's scary. And
this does all the right things for found footage.
Everything is done correctly. Sometimes when you have found footage, you don't necessarily have the scares. You don't have everything that comes in a full circle. No. So
this is possibly one of the scariest movies I've seen this year. Like this movie really had me. I felt this movie, and I really liked that. Michael Hargrove gets an emotional performance in this movie. You may know him as Candyman in the new Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele produced Candyman. He gives a very emotional performance in this as the father, and you can really, really feel that. But if you want to talk about a smart character, let's talk about Amir.
Yeah, he is a smart character. It's kind of a rare thing to have.
He's one of those characters that you see and you're like, we'll talk about it in the spoilers, but he does something when he sees a book and you're like, it's pretty smart there, Amir. He's not the guy that's like, hey, let's open this up and read it. And, it's like, Amir, I kind of like you. So those are some of our non-spoiler positives. Now let's get into the negatives of What Happened to Dorothy Bell.
So some of our negatives, there's some shots that linger on for far too long of a phone, of people's legs. It could have been cut down for sure.
I get trying to build suspense, but there comes a point to where it's just like dragging and not building suspense anymore. And I'm not a fan of movies that go from monologue to monologue with very little action. And the first act and a half, I would say, is just like a monologue to nothing, to a monologue to nothing. And for the first act, I was like, is this going to be a movie that I'm really digging? So if you're not off to a slow start, if you're not a fan of that, trust me, give this movie some time. But I could see how some people would turn away, after the first act.
There's a bunch of flashbacks, and some of them are just really unnecessary. I feel like they think maybe they need to over-explain to us, and it's like, trust us, we're smart, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, some of them, it also felt like they were just filler time.
Yeah.
Putting it in there to fill the time. And I wish more of the deaths were on screen or in the foreground, because a lot of them are off screen or in the background. And I get it, budget, I get it. And deaths don't make a movie scary. Also get that. But it is nice to see. So if I have to choose a negative, that would be another one. I wish we could have gotten more in the foreground of what we were actually seeing. So now, like we said, guys, those are some of our negatives. We've done our positives. Now we are going to spoil the film. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you have seen it, let's get to the spoilers.
All right, guys, now we're going to spoil things. So Dorothy Bell, what happened to her? She became an urban legend in her community for what she did.
Awesome.
Yes.
She stabbed Ozzy in the face, giving her a scar that she has. And one of the big subplots of the movie is Ozzy's parents never told her that.
Yeah.
They told her that she got that in a car accident.
Which I feel like, she was, 5? Like, that would have been, maybe it was so traumatic that she
blocked it
forgot.
out.
Yeah.
And I can see both sides of this. The parents were like, they didn't want to tell her the truth because they didn't want to, put that in her mind and fuck her up. But at the same time, she deserves to know the truth.
Yeah.
There's
always a fine line of what should I tell my children? What should I save them from? And, you're probably never going to be correct. So Either way, they're going to be upset with you.
Bingo.
So she did hang herself in the library that she worked at. Everybody loved Dorothy Bell. Yes. Everybody in the community said she was the nicest lady ever.
Everybody's favorite librarian.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and she hung herself there.
And that's where people see her spirit. Mm-hmm. So that's where Ozzy goes. She goes back to the library looking for answers like a fucking idiot, takes a Ouija board.
Don't fuck with Ouija boards.
Don't touch them. She does that. She's, filming everything. And that's the point of this movie is she's filming all this to try to get answers for what happened to her grandmother and what made her turn the way that she did.
She's just like she never had any reason to snap. Like she had a great life. She was happy. She loved to play with me. And then in just a short period, she just completely changed.
Stabbed me in the fucking face.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe some things are better off left alone. Like, let's not bring a Ouija board.
Right.
So Dr. Connolly,
Lisa
Wilcox, her death is amazing. You have they're on video chat. She's her therapist, and she just, her mouth, the way it looks, and it's just stuck there because she doesn't, like, her internet has gone out.
And Ozzy's like, I think you're frozen. Then, like, she, like, moves a little bit. You can hear her neck, and, like, her eyes start bleeding.
Yeah, you see her head, like,
spin.
Oh my gosh, it's really amazing.
Yeah, my when she was doing the face, I was just like,
yeah,
that was one of that's easily my favorite part of this movie. That whole scene is just so fantastic. Mm-hmm. I love the backstory behind the Crimson Book. Now, we talked earlier about Amir and how he's smart. When Ozzy shows him this volume of the Crimson Book, he's not like, hey, let's read this. He's like, let's burn this fucking thing. So they start going to burn it, and then the book disappears.
So
ends up back in the library.
We have smart decisions, and we're not doing stupid shit for plot purposes.
Yeah, I love that Amir's like, oh, that book? Yeah, burn it. Yeah. Let's fucking get rid of this shit. Great. I was like rooting for Amir at that point. I was like, hell yeah, Amir, a smart person in a horror movie. I love it.
So later on we get Dr. Connolly as a ghost, and that is scary too. Like she nailed her role.
Oh, Lisa Wilcox was so good.
Yeah, it's super creepy. Mm-hmm. The way she's laughing over the screen, it's really amazing.
The whole third act in the library is just great. Mm-hmm. It is so good. Ozzy gets possessed. George, who we didn't talk about much, he's the janitor in the library.
Yeah.
And he keeps letting her in.
He's the reason that she gets to go in there because nobody else will talk about it. They're just like hush hush kind of and won't
if we don't talk about it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And he's up, he falls down, falls through the table, and then a possessed Ozzy goes and cuts his head off. Mm-hmm. And she's standing there. Oh yeah, you can hear the it's so good. And then she's standing there holding his severed head. Mm-hmm. So like I said, overall, I really had a lot of fun with this movie. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's a found footage movie that did everything right. And I would happily watch this movie again.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Like you said, there are some slow moments, especially when you go from her talking about stuff as a kid and then her talking about other things. And like I feel like that's a lot of the filler of the first couple of acts. Mm-hmm. But the third act is amazing. It's like action-packed, scary. So a 2.5 out of 5. It's a good movie. I did enjoy it. And I would suggest other people to watch it as well. So.
And that's a fair ranking. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. If you have seen it, let us know in the comments. What did you think of what happened to Dorothy Bell? We would love to get your guys' interpretation of it as well. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.